Ever find yourself waiting endlessly at a big box pharmacy, feeling like just another number? At Tablet Pharmacy, they provide the personalized service you deserve. They offer free delivery and blister packaging options to make managing your medications easier than ever. Check their competitive prices online at tabletpharmacy.ca.
Peter and Dave, they're on the mic, all right. Join the ride, it's gonna feel just right.
Welcome back to the Pulse Community Podcast. I'm Dave Graham. Yes, we are deep into the holiday season here on mid-Vancouver Island, and we come bearing gifts in the form of stories of community spirit and Christmas magic.
And I'm Peter McCulley. Yes, the decorations are up, the lights are on as the big day approaches, but shopping hasn't yet reached that last-minute frenzy stage. And speaking of magic, Dave, have you been out to see the lights at Milner Gardens this year?
Indeed, I have, and I'm pleased to report that they have managed to raise the bar yet again. It is a spectacle of the highest order. You know, I tried to keep track of the number of lights when I was visiting there, and I kind of lost count before I got to 20. Of course, the question of the number of lights they have in the show comes up every year.
And Geoff Ball from Milner Gardens will tell us all about it.
We have grown from a few thousand to I'm estimating we're up around 150, 200,000 lights. Our volunteers start in September to hang them, and we had a great team of, I don't know, it's probably like 15 people out every setup day. We have lights from the Welcome Center all the way down to the house. That's over half a kilometer.
That is an astonishing number of lights. Good thing I'm not in charge, or they'd still be untangling extension cords. I encourage everyone to check out the show, especially locals who have never been. Good heavens, find out what you've been missing. So we'll hear more about that coming in this episode. And we also have the Festive Brass joining us today. They're bringing their holiday shows to communities across Vancouver Island.
That's right. Stevan Poiranosek will be here to talk about their interactive Christmas concerts.
We always say this at the beginning of the shows. If you want to sing with any one of our songs, don't worry, you're never going to drown us out. If you want to get up and dance, we're all fine for that. If you want to film us, just make sure you post it and tag us afterwards. There's a lot of audience interaction in all of our shows, but we do have some planned moments for sing-along.
Plus, we have a very talented singer-songwriter from Nanaimo, Vince Warry, just released a new EP called Like a Runaway Train. Vince has a history of performing in tribute bands, including The Cult, Led Zeppelin, and The Doors.
It's been great because doing it has changed my voice in ways that I'm happy for. Like, I didn't actually think that doing Morrison will change my voice or strengthen my voice because it's a very comfortable range for me. Doing his deep register has strengthened my voice in a way that I didn't expect. So it's been really nice side bonus.
Tribute bands. I got to figure there's an art to channeling someone else while still somehow bringing your own authenticity. I'm certainly no impersonator. I think my best bit of mimicry was doing Mr. Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street, but no, don't ask me to do it now. That little gift from the universe faded away long ago.
Well, we'll try to manage without your Snuffleupagus impression, Dave. Instead, allow me to direct your attention to our latest contest. We've lined up a prize for two. We figure it's the kind of prize that will be all the more welcome this time of year.
I should say so. We are talking about a little time out in Canada's #1 rated spa, the Grotto Spa at Tinamara. To enter to win this pampering prize, simply go to our website, thepulsecommunity.ca, or our Facebook page, The Pulse Community. We'll make the draw December 17th.
Future guests to the Pulse Community Podcast will include Kristen Nickel of Toastmasters. Kristen will share some insights about the power of public speaking and building confidence.
Ah, yes, public speaking, one of those things that terrifies people more than spiders or heights or, I don't know, eggnog. Actually, I've heard some people like eggnog. We'll also be speaking with Kirk Kroc from Campbell River. He's a professional diver and diving trainer who worked on the Avatar films, training actors on free diving techniques. Oh, free diving, I should have used that as an example. That's better than eggnog.
In episode 2 of season 2, we chatted with Daryl Mackay of Campbell River as he was volunteering in Ukraine. Daryl sent us a message on our Speak to Us line.
Hello, Peter and Dave. Just want to thank you guys for the coverage on your podcast. It was very successful. We raised quite a bit of money, and we got medical equipment to the front line for the Ukrainian soldiers. They're very grateful. This has opened up a lot of doors for me. I've made some amazing contacts. And the last trip, which was my 8th trip, was like a Netflix movie. It was absolutely unreal. I just want to push my book here too. It's trending on Amazon as #1 sales and also #1 for biographies and travel memoirs. So it's $20 at amazon.ca. It can be bought here, the States and the UK. And if anybody's interested, get in touch with me on Facebook or through my email. And I hope you guys get that book for Christmas. It's a good read, and I've had awesome reviews on it. So thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoy it.
All proceeds from My Time with Heroes will go to humanitarian efforts in Ukraine.
Ian Lindsay of Lindsay and Associates has played an active role in the local community since 1979. He has been with RE/MAX, Vancouver Island's most advanced real estate business network, since 1996, marketing and selling residential, rural, strata, recreational, investment, and project development real estate. Ian has received several awards recognizing his exceptional community commitment locally, as well as awards for outstanding performance and achievement from both RE/MAX International and the Vancouver Island Real Estate Board. You'll find true real estate professionals at ianlindsay.ca.
At Thrifty Foods, we love to help nonprofits, charities, and schools. Our Thrifty Foods Smile Card bulk program allows organizations to immediately save up to 6% on the purchase of Smile Cards in bulk, allowing you to keep more money in your organization's pockets. Ask for details at Thrifty Foods in Parksville, a proud sponsor of the PQ Pulse podcast with Peter and Dave.
This is the Pulse Community Podcast. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're otherwise available on Apple, Amazon, iHeart, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube.
Share your thoughts. You can contact us through our website, talk or type your message. Maybe you have a Christmas story to share, or you have a community event to announce, or you want to weigh in on the great fruitcake debate. Now, just where do you stand on this issue? Yes, no, light, dark? Inquiring minds need to know. You'll find us at thepulsecommunity.ca. Okay, it's time to bring on some guests. Here's Marilyn.
In the green room are Geoff Ball of Milner Gardens and Stephen Parnosic of Festive Brass. Thousands of people enjoy Milner Christmas magic each year and come from all over the island to enjoy the thousands of lights and displays. Festive Brass will bring their musical shenanigans and holiday cheer to 10 Vancouver Island communities.
Thanks for taking time away from being up on the stepladder hanging lights to talk to us about Milner Magic today, Geoff.
Yeah, always happy to. Thank you for the offer.
Looking back, it must have been a fairly simple project to put up a few lights and have a Christmas event at Milner.
In retrospect, it was much more simple. I think at the time it may have seemed daunting. The event itself started off on very humble space. Half the trip down was walking past candles that we had volunteers or staff running up and down trying to keep lit and covered in the rain. It was charming, but it's come a long way since the early days. 2003 is when we started this event. So it's evolved an awful lot.
Now you have thousands of Christmas lights, literally, and a number of attractions and displays that folks can enjoy when they're at Milner Gardens. Perhaps you could take us through what folks will find when they come through the front gates.
Sure. As you mentioned, we have grown from a few thousand to, I'm estimating we're up around 150, 200,000 lights. Our volunteers start in September to hang them, and we had a great team of, I don't know, it's probably like 15 people out every setup day. And they've been going at it hard. So just the scale of it has grown an awful lot. But experience-wise, we have lights from the Welcome Center all the way down to the house. That's over half a kilometer. Along the way, there's a few good stops for photo ops if you want to get a selfie. There's a kissing ball if you want to smooch your sweetie and post it if you like, or just keep the photo yourself. We won't be having Santa and Mrs. Claus this year. They've been very generous to us over the years. They're spreading the magic around the world. Send their best to all the kiddies. They will certainly visit the kids, but not at the event this year. This year, instead, we have singing happening on site. We've brought music back for the first time since COVID. On several nights, we've got choirs or a quartet singing. On the nights we don't have singing, we actually have volunteers reading Christmas stories for the kids. There's activity happening there. And then as you go through, all the windows in the main house and in the cottage have all been lit up into little vignettes. One of our volunteers has spent a lot of time dressing up the room. So as you look in the charming views into the house and just the sense of old Christmas. lots going on there. And it's just a fantastic chance to walk along with your family and your friends and enjoy a great Christmas winter light show.
Now, I know a lot of folks don't know this, but of course, with your power bill being as high as it is during the month of December, Dave Graham is actually riding a little generator bike out in the front every evening to try and keep a few of those lights on for you.
We greatly appreciate his support.
And he's wearing these groovy holiday glasses. Could you tell us about those?
Yeah, these are great things to pick up. So just as you come in, we have them for sale. They look at first real simple glasses. You put them on. They're kind of like the old 3D glasses you'd go to see a movie with. And as you walk through, every single point of light will turn into a holiday feature. So if you pick up the candy canes, as you walk through, there will be a halo around every single light. There'll be a little candy cane, or you can get them in snowmen or snowflakes or Santas. So they are lots of fun. They bring a whole different new aspect to the garden experience. So do highly recommend picking some up. Pick up a few different styles, and you can see it as Christmas trees or candy canes as you walk through. They're lots of fun.
I imagine on the busier nights, parking is a bit of an issue. How do you deal with that?
It definitely gets busy. So we've got a few things. One of the things we brought in, and this is thanks to Windsor Ploughed, on Saturdays and Sundays only, the RDN has got a bus running from the Civic Centre in Qualicum Beach to Milner Gardens and back. Free service. If you want to throw in a donation, that's wonderful. But it'll take you from the parking lot in the Civic Centre, lots of room there to park. And then the drop-off is right near our gates and comes by every 20 minutes from just before 5 o'clock at the Civic Centre until after we close, pick up at the gardens. So a great, easy way to get to the gardens. If you're not coming on those nights or don't want to do that service, by all means, if the parking is far away from the entranceway, folks are welcome to drop off their party and then go park and then walk back and then later on come by and pick them up again right down at the Welcome Center.
Can you talk about specifics in terms of tickets and costs and hours of operation?
Yeah, first of all, we open up Thursdays to Sunday, starting on the 4th and then going until Sunday the 21st. The gates open at 5 o'clock, last admission at 8 o'clock. We start to wrap things up at about 8:30. It's an entry by donation. This is a fundraiser that helps to keep the garden running, helps to support our programming, our Shoots with Roots program, and just maintain this old estate. So suggested donation is $8 an adult, $4 for a child, or $20 for a household. We appreciate the support of all of our guests because it really helps us to keep this place going.
I know that it's a very popular event for folks to attend up and down the island. Any idea how many people showed up at the gates last year?
We had well over 12,000 last year. And we actually had to close a couple nights, though. Once because of snow. And unfortunately, last year on our last night, a tree way off of our property, a few doors down, went right through a power pole a few hours before opening. So we had no option. Limited opening last year, but it is well attended. I think everybody thoroughly enjoys their time here. And it's wonderful for us and all of our volunteers who help to put this on because it takes a big army of them. Again, starting in September with the light up crew to all the 20 to 24 volunteers every night who help us to put this on. It's a joy to put on, to see the community come in, all the families, the groups to help celebrate their Christmas and their winter festival.
Walking around Milner Gardens, I'm sure that folks get a little bit of an appetite. And of course, it is around supper hour for some folks. So is there some food service on site?
There is. We do have our food tent right outside the main house. Volunteers and staff have chili and smokies, hot chocolate, spiced tea, lots of cookies, gingerbread cookies on for offer. So a chance to top up there. And most every night we have a food truck coffee service just as you walk in if you need something before you even start your walk around. And then we also have no food, but our gift shop is open as well every night. So if you need to find something to put in your friend's stocking or something else under the tree.
If you feed Dave gingerbread cookies, he'll pedal that bike all night.
We've got a whole stack load ready to go. Keep us going on him.
Geoff, thanks very much for talking to us about Milner Gardens and happy holidays.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the podcast today, Steven. The Festive Brass Christmas Tour spans 10 Vancouver Island communities across the island during the month of December. So I'm wondering what it means to you to be able to bring the music to audiences across the island rather than performing in just one or two venues.
Many of the Festive Brass have had important performing roles in major symphony orchestras, playing to packed houses, large theater spaces, and those are incredible experiences in themselves. playing small, intimate venues, bringing the brass and choir back to the roots of the church. I don't think there's anything like it. Acoustically, some of these spaces are astounding. There's something about the old bones of the church or whatever that just help us resonate in that space. And the brass, often in the big venues, we're playing with other people that we drown on, so we're relegated to the back row. So this gives a chance to be a little bit more upfront and personal with the audience. Also, these small communities, there's a lot of people that just don't have the chance or can't make the drive to a bigger city to see professionals playing. Nothing builds community like Christmas at this time of year. And so we're just happy to take all these shows on the road to these wonderful locations and provide music for some of these people that maybe never get a chance to see it.
In the show notes, we'll have links to where folks can see you on Vancouver Island this December. I wanted to ask you about partnering with different community choirs at most of the stops on the tour, including in Qualicum Beach, the Village Voices for the show in Parksville at the Knox United Church. How does collaborating with local choirs enhance that concert experience for both the performers and the audience?
The choirs are really a kind of perfect foil to the brass sound and also to some of our musical shenanigans that we'll talk about a little bit later. But brass and voices, they just meld so well. It's this time of year, it's like mistletoe and eggnog or turkey and cranberry sauce. They go together. The Salvation Army has a long-standing tradition of brass carol at outdoor events, and brass percussion are a few of the instruments that can play outdoors without adverse effects on their instrument. And so the sound of a Christmas caroling group supported by the brass really just has become a long-standing tradition. I don't want to understate the obvious, too, that these local choirs are made up of singing members of their communities, and they have family and friends that love to hear them perform. We love just having such a faithful, admiring audience that gets to come to hear them, but also gets to hear us. So it's a wonderful collaboration between us and these choirs.
You mentioned musical shenanigans. Let's dig into that a little bit. Can you explain your philosophy behind adding a polka twist or turning the first Noel into a bit of a slow jam? What's the creative process behind those reimagined arrangements?
I wish I could say that the creative process had a lot of depth or was born of incredible inspiration. But honestly, the ideas are a little whimsical. They're born from a need to just spice things up more than anything. Many carols and Christmas songs are they're instantly recognizable, but they're just so simple, for lack of a better term. And that, of course, is part of their appeal to the masses. For us, changing or expanding the underlying harmonies or rhythmically shifting them to a different genre of music really freshens them up. We're giving everything a glow up. Part of the creative process is that we all share the same sense of humor. And I just get these weird inspirations. And the members of my group would joke that I'm the architect and they're the engineers. One of my members likes to tell the story how I phoned him mid-July in the middle of a heat wave. And I said, hey, what about I Saw Three Ships, that famous carol, but we mashed it up with some music from the Pirates of the Caribbean and we call it I Saw Three Pirate Ships. He would just shake his head and say, okay, I'll see what I can do. And so these are how these things come about. The inspiration just strikes you in weird ways and weird times. We're lucky enough to have some brilliant arrangers that are able to manipulate my ideas into great musical moments.
Sounds like a lot of fun. You've said that the trumpet is a weapon of mass sound destruction, but also capable of tremendous beauty, of course, for someone who's never experienced live brass music. What should they expect when they come to a Festive Brass concert?
The brilliant, energizing sounds of brass instruments, I think, have always been synonymous with the magic and joy of the holiday season. Beyond the tradition of the instrument sounding out Christmas carols, I'm sure at some point it's been studied, but we know that there's something about the rich sonorities of the brass, the overtones, the vibrations. It has a physical effect on a listener. And we also like to believe that Festive Brass audiences always leave the show on a high because of these physical feelings, and the magical feeling of fun that we put into the experience of our concerts is one of our traditions. In a way, we challenge any of our listeners to come to our concert and not leave with a smile on their face.
Now, Festive Brass has been performing for over 20 years, just at Milner Gardens, for instance. I understand you have a library approaching 200 arrangements. So how did all this start? How did the ensemble first come together? And when did the light bulb go off and you understood that this was going to be an enduring holiday tradition across the island?
Butcher Gardens for Festive Brass started almost 30 years ago. Our background might actually give some context to our musical shenanigans, actually. We began as a brass quartet. Butcher Gardens in Victoria wanted to add some live music for the patrons as they strolled through and looked at the light displays. So they hired a brass group, and that group was hired to play festive music, toggling with a group of traditional carolers. Quick little story, my wife was one of the carolers, and that's where I met her up at Butcher Gardens. So a big gig up at Butchard's, which still runs to this day, is 36 nights in a row, 2 hours of Christmas music. So the brass started to find ways to entertain ourselves and on the spot improvising styles like playing this one like a blues. We started amusing ourselves so much that we started to write down some of these ideas, and our arrangements got more and more out there, and the audience were coming along with us. They were asking for more of this kind of stuff. When the pandemic hit, we didn't play Butcher Gardens. I had the idea that it's too much good musicianship here. This is too much fun we're having to just keep it relegated to Butcher Gardens. So let's take this on tour. Let's take this out to concert venues. Let's get out of the cold and play Jingle Bells, maybe, instead of freezing where ice cubes are coming out of our bells. And that's when the inspiration for the tour hit, and we've been having a lot of fun.
Is there an opportunity for audiences to sing along?
Absolutely. Any Festive Brass concert, we always say this at the beginning of the shows. If you want to sing with any one of our songs, don't worry, you're never going to drown us out. If you want to get up and dance, we're all fine for that. If you want to film us, just make sure you post it and tag us afterwards. There's a lot of audience interaction in all of our shows. But we do have some planned moments for sing-along. We have a very beautiful silent night that we're looking to close our concert with, and should be a wonderfully emotional moment for everyone there.
You've got 10 stops across the island in the month of December. You will be busy.
We wouldn't have it any other way, and it is the most wonderful time of the year.
Stephen Paranosik, thanks very much for joining us on the Pulse podcast, and happy holidays.
Thanks so much, Ben. Happy holidays to all of you.
Well, there you go. 2 fine examples of ways to celebrate this season. Christmas magic at Milner Gardens and Festive Brass performing at various locations on the island, including Knox United Auditorium in Parksville with the much-loved Village Voices Choir.
Check out the latest episode of Nonpartisan Hacks with Joel Grenz and Sean Wood, the Pulse edition. Also check out the F3 Football and Food podcast hosted by Aaron and Chef Jonathan Fraser from Courtney Comox. Chef Jonathan always has a great tailgate recipe that you can download and try for yourself.
Our Skookum Kid story this week features Captain Dave and the crew of the Mellow Submarine. Join Captain Dave and his loyal first mate, Larry the Lobster, for a very special celebration, the submarine's 10th birthday. Download and print coloring pages featuring Captain Dave's submarine adventures.
And our Radio Archaeology Classic Radio series this week features an original episode of Gunsmoke. Marshal Dillon discovers that one suspect wanted for murder committed 17 years ago bears a striking resemblance to his trusted friend, Doc Adams.
You'll find these podcasts and more at thepulsecommunity.ca.
For more than 55 years, the SOS Caring for Community at Christmas program has ensured that local children, youth, adults, and seniors experience the joy of the holidays. The thrill of finding a gift under the tree, the happiness that comes from sharing food that has special meaning. To donate to the SOS Caring for Community at Christmas program, visit sosd69.com or call 250-248-2093.
Windsor Plywood in French Creek specializes in hard-to-source interior and exterior home finishing products, including flooring, doors, and moldings. Windsor Plywood French Creek carries high-quality, responsibly sourced products and are committed to providing outstanding value and personalized one-on-one service to all of our customers, homeowners, do-it-yourselfers, renovators, builders, designers, craftsmen, and contractors. Regardless of the type or size of your project, Windsor can help you bring your vision to life from start to finish. Let Windsor Plywood and French Creek help you with your renovation, new build, or building project. Call 752-3122.
Ever find yourself waiting endlessly at a big box pharmacy, feeling like just another number? There's a better way. At Tablet Pharmacy, they provide the personalized service you deserve. Check their competitive prices online at tabletpharmacy.ca before you even leave home. They offer free delivery and blister packaging options to make managing your medications easier than ever. With convenient locations in Parksville, Qualicum Beach, and now open in Nanaimo near the Brick, Tablet Pharmacy has been serving Vancouver Island since 2019. Stop being just a prescription number. Experience the Tablet Pharmacy difference today. Visit them online and check their prices at tabletpharmacy.ca.
We're eager to share our visit with Vince Warry. He's had quite a career as lead vocalist in a number of tribute acts.
It makes me think of how a painter who studies the masters is a component to becoming great artists themselves. Well, I would think that following in the footsteps of the extraordinary in any field is kind of a useful thing to do. But that's enough of me talking about it. Here's Marilyn.
In the green room is Vince Warry, from channeling rock legends in tribute bands that include music by The Cult, Led Zeppelin, and The Doors. Singer-songwriter Vince Warry brings decades of rock history to life while releasing his own music. The latest being an EP entitled Like a Runaway Train.
Welcome to the podcast today, Vince.
Thank you very much.
Vince, can you walk us through the moment or the experience in your life and what age you were that made you realize that music was going to be more than just a hobby for you?
I wouldn't put one particular moment on it. It's like a progression, but I remember sitting in my friend's basement watching the Monkees, buying the Beatles Rock and Roll Volume 1 tape deck from a clearance table in the Bay with my mom when I was like 8 and listening to it nonstop. And then there was like a big gap when sports in high school kind of took over. And it wasn't until later that I connected with Zeppelin and The Cult and AC/DC and some of the bigger bands and even the Tragically Hip. That's when I started testing out my voice and realizing I could get into doing this.
What age was that?
Around 18 or 19. I also had very important things that I've challenged myself with over my life. My stepdad passed away around that time, and he was the kind of fellow who always wanted to do stuff when he retired without really knowing it at the time. Just went at my bucket list like crazy. I didn't want to be the same and have regrets.
I had the Monkees lunchbox.
Sweet.
Which artists or albums fundamentally changed how you approach making music, and what specifically did you take from them? You had mentioned The Doors and The Cult and AC/DC.
I think the catalog of the Beatles and just not being confined by any particular style was always important to me. And then learning about Zeppelin once the internet broke and you were able to learn more about a band, learning about Jimmy Page, learning about how session players could do anything they wanted and then bring it as an influence to the band. Then more personally, I think it was the song Love Removal Machine by The Cult was the first song that I ever was like, I don't know, that voice sounds like I might be able to do that. And I sang it and was like, oh, I think I might actually be able to do this, and went from there.
Do you think tribute bands serve as an important cultural preservation, keeping the classic rock alive for the new generations and keeping us old folks happy? How do you see your role in all of that?
And I absolutely do. Once I connected with this band in Nanaimo, which is a story in itself, and we decided to do The Doors, we did our first shows, and the range of people that were there, it was almost like the middle was missing. There was original Doors fans and like grandkids, and both sides loved it, and it's a terrific feeling, and you give them the most honest representations you can. I guess it appeals to me as a historian, a living history kind of thing.
And you get into the part too, Vince. I was watching you on YouTube with the Doors tribute, and I was looking around. I was thinking, where's Vince? Oh, he's wearing a wig. He's on stage. He's got the glasses. He's got the wig. And it was a fine job.
Thank you. Thank you. You put all that stuff on, and it's part of the whole download that I use to channel the energy.
What's the most challenging song to perform from your tribute projects?
That's a good question. Range-wise, it would be anything in the Zeppelin catalog because there's some pretty high stuff. But personality-wise, of all the tribute bands I've done, and it's very ironic because of all the looks that I've had to do, it's probably the one closest to what I actually look like was Gord Downey doing the Tragically Hip. We did a tribute band called In the Evening in Vancouver, and Gord had passed away. The responsibility of doing Gord justice really got into my head. And he's such a lyricist, and he's such a personality. And having seen him so many times, bringing his vibe, I think we did about 5 or 6 shows, and I think I only really felt comfortable once or twice.
What's the most interesting thing a fan has come up to you and said after a tribute show that made you realize the importance of what you do and how you do it?
A show, the Tide Mark. I go into the crowd for Roadhouse Blues, and I had never had this happen before, but as I was wandering through the crowd, somebody pulled me close and I snapped a picture with them, and I thought that was cool. After the show, a group of women told me, the woman who had been in the picture with me, that she was in stage 4 cancer, and all she wanted to do was see the Doors tribute before she passed away. That really hit me, and I was glad that we had a good show because I did my best. I have no regrets and no missed notes or anything. And she posted that picture, and then I found out a few months later that she had passed, so it was quite a story for me.
But you were living in the Lower Mainland for many years and then relocated to Nanaimo to join the school system as a teacher.
Yes, correct. I was a teacher in Burnaby before that, yeah.
And what subjects do you teach?
I teach history and geography. And I was lucky enough here to create a course called The History of Music and Pop Culture. And that was a fun take on some of the history that I've taught.
There's no curriculum for that. You make it up.
I made it up, yeah.
I was watching the video that we're going to be talking about shortly, and as I watched you walk down the railway tracks, I thought, that guy's a physical education teacher. Like, you're pretty solid.
I appreciate it. I looked after myself with lots of martial arts and skiing, but that also led to 2 replaced hips. I guess that leads me back to the Tragically Hip discussion we just had.
And Vince, you've joined label Big Records. How does the Nanaimo music community compare to Vancouver's music scene? And are there opportunities on the island that you've been provided just because you're here that perhaps the mainland did not?
I find that the musicians here are like stealthy. There's some amazing musicians that are tucked away because there's no rehearsal spaces here, at least in Nanaimo, or there's one. So you don't go to a big rehearsal room where there's like bands coming and going and you're hanging with people. I found the gigs to be like mostly one-night gigs. You're the only band for the night, so you're not mingling with other players. So unless you meet, are lucky enough, as I was, to meet an amazing group of guys, for the first 4 years I was here, it was pretty lonely. In Vancouver, like, it's in your face. You're all vying for the few venues that there are, but you meet everybody. It's competitive. Here, it's quiet, and I definitely did not feel like an island boy until recently.
You've got a new EP that we're going to talk about. I wanted to ask you, after years of inhabiting other personas on stage, other artists, there obviously is a Vince Warry that exists separate from all those other influences, yes?
Vince Warry was the lead singer of a band in Vancouver called Obscene Silence. Good group of guys, friends of mine, brothers of mine, really. We grew up in music together, and we disbanded in 2006. It wasn't till most of us got back together that we started doing tributes. I was singing originals for a long time. There's quite a catalog of Obscene Silence music out there. And then we did The Cult, and then we did Zeppelin, and then I moved here, and I hooked up with a band, also a big records band called Yesterday's Fate. I was warming them up for a tour because they're singers in the UK. After that happened, the guys were like, we want to keep working with you. What are we going to do? And that's when the Doors came out. It's been great because doing it has changed my voice in ways that I'm happy for. Like, I didn't actually think that doing Morrison will change my voice or strengthen my voice because it's a very comfortable range for me. Doing his deep register has strengthened my voice in a way that I didn't expect. So it's been really nice side bonus.
You have a new EP, which dropped in October. After years of channeling other artists in some of these tribute bands, how does it feel to release a collection that's entirely your own voice and vision?
I can't say it's entirely my own vision. I work closely with a good fella, my producer, my guitarist, Jim Craneveld. Together, we have come up with this music and all of the music since I've been with Big. It's really nice to have found a group of guys that I feel at home with, and again, like a brothership with. And whether it's Jim's tune that I'm writing lyrics for, or sometimes I have a tune and we work it out together, it's just been absolutely positive and fantastic. It's been a dream come true, really.
The EP title and the single, Like a Runaway Train, is this a metaphor for your musical journey?
I suppose it could be. That is the one track on the entire EP that is an entirely Jim creation. He wrote the music and the lyrics. I've been around long enough and I've worked with enough people and collaborated with enough people that I rarely like singing other people's lyrics. It just doesn't feel natural to me. But Runaway Train worked. There's a few phrasings that I made my own, but lyrically speaking, it made sense to me. It was just the right pocket that I like. It resonates with me too, because ultimately the sentiment is that once your mind gets going on something, it can go like a runaway train, and I can completely understand that.
Dancing for me, heartbeat sing to the bass and the beat.
Like a Runaway Train, that's Vince Warry. Vince, take us inside your songwriting process. Do you start with lyrics, a melody, scrap of paper with a couple of words, maybe a feeling you're trying to capture?
What typically happens actually is whether I came up with the tune, which is me plunking it out in the most amateur way possible, or if Jim presents me with a tune that almost sounds like it's come out of the Beatles recording studio, like he has a habit of presenting me with these amazing recordings right off the bat. But typically the first thing that comes to me is the vibe of the song and what is the chorus going to be? What is the main point going to be here? Then I lyricize from that.
AC/DC is coming back to Vancouver in June, I believe. Does that mean Vince Warry is going to do some sort of a tribute to AC/DC in the meantime?
I would have to ask Jim to put shorts and a cap on, and I'm not sure he'd be into that. And I can only do the Bon Scott stuff. I can't do Brian Johnson.
Between your tribute work and your original material and your EP, you're essentially maintaining multiple musical personas. That must keep the creative energy flowing when one night you're Jim Morrison and the next day you're Vince Warry.
I'm pretty spiritual when it comes to stuff like that. And I use the term download because there's songs, for example, like with the Doors tribute, Mojo Horizon, when we were picking an opening song, the song that puts me in Jim is actually Backdoor Man. Some of the guys were kind of like, nobody really knows that song if you're a casual fan. And I was like, let me do it and show you the difference. And I did, and they all appreciated, yeah, okay, that sets him up to be Jim. When it's time to take all that stuff off, it takes me a week or two to get my own voice back, absolutely. And Jim's kept me hot. This last little stretch of finishing the EP while we were doing Mojo shows was interesting because I was bouncing back and forth. And I guess it trained me a little bit better to do that.
What advice would you give to young musicians who are trying to build a career in music these days?
Collaborate, be open to doing anything, even if it sounds lame. Jam with old dudes and young, jam with everybody, because you never know who's there, who's listening, who you're playing with, what you're going to learn, and help each other out. Vancouver in 1995 to 2000 was so cutthroat. It was so much nicer, and it's so much nicer here with bands helping each other out and helping find bookings and stuff.
As someone who's spent years honoring the past while creating your own new music, what do you think rock music needs to remain relevant in 2026 and beyond? It seems more than ever we're seeing old rock and roll guys show up on the country music charts.
There are bands out there that are still throwing it down, like The Cult, for example. I know a lot of people who like The Cult, like myself. They don't know. They're still going, and it's actually, they're better than they've ever been. I guess it's like walking that fine line. I think the elder artists should probably go out when they're on top. I look at David Lee Roth. Is he doing anybody any favors doing what he's doing, sounding like that? Yet I understand it's like a double-edged sword because I would probably still want to be doing it too. But to keep it relevant, I think you should put your best foot forward. Like that last AC/DC album was a pretty solid outing, almost every track. That's rare for AC/DC. Usually they have a few songs and the rest are filler. Moving forward, you can release a single to keep your name and keep people listening to you. That's what I would say.
We hope that's what you keep doing, Went.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks for your time today. We really enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you so much. Nice to speak to somebody on the island.
Vince Warry, like a runaway train. What a great story that makes. His journey from tribute bands to original music. You can find links to his music in our show notes. It's inspiring. It makes me think that, well, maybe someday I will be able to get my guitar out and play more than just the first 5 notes of Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven.
Dave, I didn't know you played guitar.
Just 5 notes.
Before we wrap this up, a reminder to give what you can this time of year. Food banks and the Salvation Army provide great options.
Well, you had to bring up wrapping. That's another issue. Trying to get the wrapping paper all lined up and wrinkle-free and without too many tears and holes. And oh, by the way, do you happen to have any rolls of sticky tape on you? I have a couple more gifts to wrap, so I figured 2 more rolls ought to do.
Well, I'll see what I can do. Hey, folks, there's lots of ways to help out. Volunteer your time, check on your friends and neighbors, spread a little kindness. They all add to the magic.
And if you still have shopping to do, of course, we encourage you to keep it local. And don't forget our contest, your chance to win a wonderful experience for two at the Grotto Spa, Tanamara.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back soon with more stories from mid-Vancouver Island.
Hey, I haven't finished my letter to Santa yet. Maybe I should ask for the ability to wrap gifts. Is that a thing? No, wait. I should ask for a gift wrapping robot. That's way better. Come on, Santa, you can do it, you big elf.
Here come Peter, here comes Dave. Oh, listen. Bringing stories, making waves. No missing. Spinning tales in the podcast cave. So laughs and insights everywhere. What a treat. Peter and Dave, they're on the mic, so